Hi, I'm Kirk Samuels. For 30 of the first 40 years of my life, I was completely addicted to internet pornography. It ruined and took everything, including almost my life. And this is my story. I was a latchkey kid, so I had a key literally on a shoestring around my neck. And from the time I was in first grade, I would come home, after school and let myself in and just kind of sit there and wait for my mom to get home, however long that took. So, I kind of spent a lot of time just at home and a lot of time just hanging out with neighborhood friends and just experiencing, or learning a lot of lessons from the kids in the neighborhood, right? One of those neighborhood guys, kind of came over with this VHS tape. And I'll never forget, the moment that I saw my first pornographic images. Something just settled in my mind that whatever that is, whatever that feeling was, whatever that sensation was, whatever this thing is that's going on in my brain, I want that as much as possible. It was a complete escape from everything that was going on in my household at the time. And it was the solution to so many things. It was the medication that took away the pain. As my body began to change and as my mind began to change, then I started to see girls even like, wait a minute, they have some of that I saw in that video. And so maybe I could pursue that. On the surface, everything looked great, but there was still this monster inside of me that wanted to be fed and that never was satisfied and could never have enough. What no one knew is that I hated myself. Like this thing it was a cancer eating me from the inside out for decades at this point. I found myself sleeping in the back of my car outside of a hospital at night. No one knew that, I would, go shower at work, at the office before anybody got there. And no one knew that I had, this whole perception of a life on the surface and still going to church, still being the greeter at the door when people walked in. Hey, brother, how you doing? And everything is great and all that. No one knew that I was sleeping in the back of my car during the week. And feeling like the failure of all failures, feeling like, this thing has taken everything. There was no safe place. I felt like you could walk into a room and tell somebody you're an alcoholic and, people will put their arms around you, even in a church setting. I felt like you could almost confess to anything and there would be some level of exception. There would be some level of love, some level of, I'm with you. But this thing, there was so much shame and stigma that there was never really any safety to even tell anyone. And so, the more I had this period of time where I was sleeping in the back of my car, the more I began to hear that voice I call it like the voice in the back of my head that sounds like my voice. And that voice started to say, oh man, you suck. Like, what a miserable person you are. Do you know how many people you've made cry? Do you know what a failure you've been? You've blown this and you've blown a career. You've blown every dream that you had. You've blown every relationship that you had. I never had a relationship where I was fully committed to that person. And, that voice just reminding me what a bad person I am. I think shame is probably one of the most powerful spirits on earth. I think shame can put you in some pretty dark places. And that was probably the darkest period of my life because I'm in a sleeping bag in the back of my Ford Explorer. And I'm like, this is what my life has come to. I'm almost 40 years old, and this is all I have to show for my entire life. And then that conversation just got darker and darker and darker till I got to the point where one day that voice said, yeah, why are you even alive? Like, what good are you? You know what? you should probably just end this thing. You should probably just go away. If you go away, at least you won't ever hurt anybody again. And what started off as a preposterous idea began to make sense after a time of hearing that and thinking that over and over again. I mean, that voice is real. Like, that voice means something when it's just you. When it's just you and you don't have any backup. You don't have anybody when you're 6. You don't have a support circle. You don't have anybody that you can go to. You don't have a safe place. And so I began to formulate the plan on how I was going to do that. I was already at the hospital, so I'll drive to the ER entrance and I'll tell them to come out and get me. And then when I see them coming out the door, I'll just blow my brains out right here in the car. Maybe they can donate my organs. And I remember what it felt like to put that barrel to my temple. And I remember what it felt like to begin to squeeze that trigger. And all the thoughts of, on one hand, fear, and on the other hand, thinking, and I'm probably going to make a whole lot of people's lives a whole lot easier in this moment. And I also remember the intersection of my pain and my purpose. So God, either you hate me and you never want me to get free of this, or, and I remember that or, that or, and that's the intersection. Because that or is like when you're at a red light and you can see the light facing the other way and you see it turn yellow. Because that or is like, oh, slow down. That or is like, okay, this red light might just turn green. And I said, or you're gonna show me how to get free of this, because I can't do this anymore. I can't live like this anymore. That was probably the night that a whole lot of things broke. That began my search. The Bible says, man, if you seek, you'll find. And so I began to search, like, all right, God, show me. I came up with a plan. I came up with a score system. I came up with, all of these inspirations and these lights were firing, and I felt like God was just kind of parting waters, and the seas just parted. Now, it wasn't easy. Hell no, it wasn't easy. This was a struggle, man. I'm trying to kick a 30-year addiction at the age of 40. And the dopest part is that when you start to see daylight, it looks like hope. It looks like hope. And hope is dope. Hope is dope. And so that hope changed everything, man. And then I started to see hope for my life and started to see, like, wait a minute, man, I don't have to be trapped in this thing. Like, it's not a prison. There's something higher than this. And like I said, through my pain, I saw my purpose. And you better be careful when you find purpose, because purpose is your why. Through this journey, identity has come. And God revealed to me, first and foremost, that I'm loved. Several things. I even teach this. I am blessed. I'm strong. I'm forgiven. I'm healthy. I'm free. I'm gifted. I'm empowered to prosper. I'm loved by God. I'm redeemed by Christ. I'm a friend of God. I'm capable of more than I know, and I'm going to see God do wonders today. And underneath all of that was the identity of, I am his son. And he loves me unconditionally. To the person that may be watching this, and to the person, the reason I'm so transparent, the reason I'm so vulnerable is because I hope that somebody says me too. And if you're the guy that says me too, if you're the guy that knows that pain, that isolation, that struggle, if you're the guy that knows the hopelessness, what that feels like, and if you're the guy that thinks, can't be for me, I'm telling you that's a lie from the pit of hell. I'm telling you that freedom is yours. It is for freedom that Christ has set you free. And I'm telling you, whoever you are, that is darkest right before dawn. The only reason that God made sure that I didn't go through that night, that I didn't pull that trigger, was so that you would hear this message today. Man, it ain't too late. If you're still here, it ain't too late. If you're still here, it ain't too late, man. There's hope for tomorrow. And I promise you that not only me and guys that I know, but the guys that are part of this whole vision, part of this whole mission, are here for you, bro, whoever you are. And your only job is not to quit. You made it this far for a reason. You ain't no sucker. You made it this far for a reason, and you got a circle of brotherhood that's out here doing this for you. I am Kirk M. Samuels. With strength, wisdom, gentleness, and mercy, I co-create a world of intimacy and unconditional connection by teaching and inspiring 1 million men how to live free from internet pornography. And that is my story.